Nature doesn't care about your plans. It only cares about your preparation.
I know this lesson personally as I survived a mountaineering accident on Rainier, and today I'm starting a 4-part series testing the 10 essentials to see what actually works when things go south. Part 1 is a Survival Triad: fire, insulation, and emergency shelter. Tonight, I'm ditching my tent for a $25 Emergency Bivvy in 37-degree Olympic Peninsula cold. If I can't get a fire started or stay warm in these layers, it's going to be a very long night. I have my full kit as a safety net, but the goal is to see if these essentials alone can keep me alive. Let's see the good, the bad, and the shivering.
I'm Kristen with Unstoppable Outside, and if you want to continue on this journey with me of exploring the 10 essentials and how they're going to help me survive out here, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can see all parts of this series. It's in the 40s, and the overnight low is going to be 37 degrees, and the wind, fortunately, is pretty calm, so wind chills shouldn't be too much lower. But when you're out in a damp situation like this, and we have high humidity out here, you can definitely feel it in your bones, and it feels colder than it is. So one of the challenges with making a fire out here is that everything is damp. So one place to try to look for some dry tinder is under fallen logs like this, where it might be more protected. No, that is very, very wet. I've made it to the camp spot I'm going to stay at tonight. I'm going to set up the tent for the backup option. John is with me as well, so he'll also be here for body heat, winning. But we're gonna get camp set up, and then I'll start scrounging for more wood options. Also, as a backup, we did bring some firewood that is dry that we'll use. The first thing I have to do, though, is put on my insulation layer. So every time that you get to a place where you're stopping in cold weather, whether it's just to take a snack break or you're setting up camp, you want to put layers on immediately, because as soon as you start moving, you're going to start cooling down, and any sweat that you have is going to make you chilled. So deeper into some of these logs that have fallen down, if you kind of get into the deeper, you can actually get some of the wood out that is a little bit drier. So we're going to see if this is dry enough to be a little bit of tinder. In terms of a bivvy spot, I'm going to set up here next to the campfire. It's a pretty flat spot. As part of Leave No Trace, I don't want to go and try to cut a bunch of branches or ferns or pull up moss to try to make a softer cushion. If it was a true emergency situation, like I was lost in the woods, sure, absolutely, you need to do what you need to do to survive. But this is a primitive campsite, and I'm not going to make a mess of it. So I will use an air pad instead. So that is something I probably would not have with me on a day hike, but that is something I am going to splurge on. I'm getting older, and I don't need to ruin the rest of my month with a bad back. Okay, I have brought a few different fire starters. They are kind of marketed as, emergency, such as the Ferro Rod. I also have these quick start kerosene style packets. These are going to be my last resort, and they are called WetFire, and they will start no matter what. I actually haven't tried them, so again, we're going to put it to the test. Additionally, I have the emergency set of matches that they also sell, and these are the ones that have the material that will stay lit for longer. This is the tinder that is fairly dry that I found in the logs. So we're going to see if we can get an ember started, and we're going to start with the Ferro Rod first. I've practiced with it a little bit, but haven't had much luck. So this is definitely one of those situations where if you can't do it in good conditions or dry conditions, it's going to be way more challenging in wet conditions. And should that be part of your 10 essentials in case of an emergency? So let's just start with the striker that comes with it. That's not a good start. Let's try with my knife. When you use the knife, you actually want to use the back side, not the blade. Nothing. I'm breaking a sweat. That's not good. Ooh, that's good. Yeah, a little toilet paper. Let's see if that helps. All right, I'm trying John's knife. Oh yeah, that's nice. This is not easy, folks.
Oh, almost. There you go. Little bit. There you go. That was a nice chunk.
All right, so I got the toilet paper going. So let's see if we can actually get some of the smaller wood to actually go. With some of these embers. All right, well, that was my first time starting a fire with a Ferro rod. Took me a little bit under 15 minutes. We did pull out some toilet paper. Some of this kindling was a mix of what we found in some of the logs here, as well as some of this dry kindling that we brought with us in order to make sure we had some dry pieces. So I feel like had it just been me, I'd probably still be working at it. So with these other fire starters, I'll go ahead and just use them and continue to increase the fire so that we can just see how they work. So this is the waterproof emergency match that has the longer life. And so ideally, you would hopefully be able to keep it lit long enough that it would light your fire, but you might have to use multiple. And then this is the WetFire starting tinder. So this should probably be something that would be more useful out here in the Olympics where it's always wet. So let's see what happens. Yeah, you can smell this has kerosene. So it's definitely got a fire starter in it. And this is going to actually just burn it while you try to get the things around it to dry out a little bit to catch on fire more so. So if you're going someplace wet, I think something more chemical like this is a great option compared to bringing the Ferro stick. I think a Ferro stick is for someone who is going to be out in the wilderness for a long time because it can last and you get multiple strikes out of it in order to create multiple fires, but it is a lot of work. If you are out on a day hike, you get lost, you get injured, but you have the ability still to be a little bit more mobile, you're going to want to get a fire going to keep your body warm. The final verdict is that I'm going to swap out my Ferro stick and matches for just a lighter and the chemical wet fire starter, because no matter what, it is going to light and burn while it allows you to get everything else caught on fire. And I feel like in an emergency situation, you don't want to be fussing with a Ferro stick for 10, 15, 20 or more minutes, especially when you only have wet stuff that might be harder to catch on fire. So that was a good lesson learned. I'm really glad I tried that out. It is time for me to set up my emergency bivvy. If you were to get lost or injured on a day hike and all you have is your 10 essentials, you should have some kind of emergency shelter with you. This is the SOL brand emergency bivvy. It's the same material as the space blanket, and it's going to reflect your heat back at you. The bad thing is that it can be a condensation trap. Vapor barriers are a good thing. In very cold temperatures, I've actually put my feet into the dry sack of my sleeping bag in order to keep my feet and hands warmer. So they definitely serve a purpose, but they don't serve a purpose if you get wet and then get cold because of that. I'm hoping I can take layers off, because more layers doesn't necessarily mean you're warmer. It actually can be too tight and constricting for your circulatory system and make you colder. Yes, I'll just put those
here just to give you an interior view of my lovely home for the night. Well, I've made it almost 2 hours. It's definitely getting chillier, and you can see the condensation is building up. I had my head out, but my hood was getting wet from the mist, so I brought it in. And but it was already moist in here beforehand. I've been checking on it, so just my regular body heat does that, so I'm a little worried about getting damp, but definitely starting to kind of tense up more to fend off the shivers. It is 2:21. Condensation is definitely making things down. The core temperature is still okay. I'm not shivering. It's definitely not comfortable. I don't think I've slept a week. It's a little after 3. Made it 5.5 hours, but now I have to pee. And it's actually worse for you to hold it. It'll actually make you colder. And of course, not sleep. But once I get out of here, I think I'm going to call it and go into the tent so I can dry out because of just how wet it is in here. I've been trying not to move and get any more of my jacket wet because it's going to, if the down gets wet, it's not going to be effective. Plus, the jacket is water resistant, but not waterproof. So, at the end of the day, my core temperature has actually been okay. I've had some shivers, but it hasn't been bad. My teeth aren't chattering, so that's huge. My whole jacket is pretty wet. I'm really glad it at least is water resistant, but that was gonna go downhill eventually. Good morning. It's about 9 o'clock. So I crawled in here at 3:20. So yeah, a little under 5 hours of sleep. Gonna get some coffee going, and then I'll summarize how the night went and reassess all the gear. Good, the bad, and the ugly. So the good is I did not get to the point where I was shivering, like teeth chattering, shivering in the bivvy last night. So that is awesome. And I made it 5 hours. It would definitely save you in an emergency situation. The bad is the fact that it, when I had read about the bivvy sack and how it works, that it can become a condensation trap, and it did. And then kind of more on the ugly side of things is because it was wet, I stayed on my right side the whole time, just kind of fetal position, and I didn't want to move. I didn't want to switch sides because that would mean my whole jacket would scrape across the material and get everything even more wet. So definitely does the job. I think a takeaway is that I would make sure I put on my rain jacket instead of just a puffy, or a rain jacket over the puffy, in order to keep that moisture from coming through my clothes, and that might have made the difference to get through the whole night. So really glad I did that. Good to know that this gear does work, and at $25, this can save your life. In terms of the fire and fire starting, I will not use the Ferro rod in my tent essentials moving forward. I felt like while I was very fortunate and did get it lit within 20 minutes, I had some help from some toilet paper and some dry kindling, which I probably would have toilet paper. But the one thing that I also want to reiterate with all of these systems and tent essentials is a little bit of redundancy. So for the fire, let's say I switch to some kind of fire starting material and a lighter, I should probably also have a few matches in case that lighter doesn't work. You always want to have kind of a backup. So similarly with the insulation and the bivvy sack and the space blanket, we have some redundancies, and those things can be used in multiple ways. Now, before we head out, one thing that's really important for fire safety is that this has completely gone out. So we're going to grab a stick and stir it up and see if there's any heat left. And as there is, we will douse that with water. So I'm gonna go into the embers here, stir those up. Let's just see. I'm not feeling any heat coming off of my hands, so that fire is pretty out, which isn't surprising here, but just for a little extra precaution, we will, stir that up and spread out so that the cold air and the rain that's coming in will soak that and make sure that it is fully out. In terms of redundancy, in terms of my insulation layers, I truly carry these kind of layers in my day pack, and people tease me about it, and I don't care because I run cold and I know that, and then I'm also happy to share if someone else is struggling too.
That was definitely some type 2 fun. I would not subject myself to that again unless it was a different kind of bivvy, but I learned a lot and really glad to share that with you, so hopefully you never have to. Thanks for joining me on the first part of my 10 Essentials series where I focus on fire, insulation, and emergency shelter. I hope you enjoyed the journey, and if you did, make sure to hit like and find that subscribe button. And don't forget to stay unstoppable, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.